Okay, first, if you don't feel nervousness, if you don't feel butterflies in your stomach, if you're not fearful of something you're doing, you're not trying hard enough.
We're the average of the 5 people we're closest to. So you better choose your 5 pretty carefully.
Do you have any regrets?
I have many regrets.
I'm a multimillionaire today because I learned from billionaires, and it's that knowledge that got me where I am today. Not courses, not crap books, direct contact with these people. I've recently interviewed 5 billionaires on my podcast, and I learned something from them emotionally that I want to share with you to help you get ahead. So here's 5 key pieces of advice from billionaires. So this is a very deep question. Do you have any regrets?
Do I have regrets? I think I have one. I have one regret that I didn't go to see Steve before he died when he requested me to see him, because he wanted to talk about the thing I was doing at Nest, and I wanted to get it right before I showed it to him, and I waited a few too many weeks, and then he couldn't see me, and I wasn't able to have that last discussion with him.
Do you have any regrets?
It's a really good question. I have many regrets. That game only ends in one thing, which is depression. I spend all of my time thinking about opportunity. That's it. How is there something better to build here? What is the positive part that we're building? How do we back the people that are building those things? There was lots of poor decisions we made that I would totally do differently. You can look at that and you should learn, but after that learning point, you should just look for the next opportunity.
People in their 90s were asked what regrets they had in life, and nearly all of them, the only regret they had is what they didn't do. So if you have an idea, you have to do it. You don't want to live with regret.
Okay, first, if you don't feel nervousness, if you don't feel butterflies in your stomach, if you're not fearful of something you're doing, you're not trying hard enough. So the last thing I want is a comfortable expert. Somebody's like, I know everything. Well, we're doing something the world's never done before. So how are you an expert at it?
When you're building a business, what you've got to remember is it will never be perfect. It will never be right. It will never be exactly how you want it to be. If you have an idea right now and you're thinking, I won't share it because it's not flushed out enough, I don't have traction yet, someone could copy it, then you're thinking the wrong way. You're a very wise old soul, but you are young. Why are you so successful so young?
Well, it's not the years, it's the miles. It's not the amount of experience you have, it's the amount of running you did. And so when you are a founder and when in a single year you try and build 10 different businesses and only 2 of them work, you get a lot of experience there.
If you start 5 businesses today, by the end of next year, you would have probably 1 work, but you'll have 5 bits of knowledge you didn't otherwise have. That's why you've got to start now.
Wisdom doesn't come from reading it in a book. Wisdom comes from the genuine life experience you are having, things really not working out, and you taking the time to reflect and build yourself into a better person.
So that's why I tell you, don't read a book to learn business. Do it. Stop reading those books and start seeing what businesses are built and build one yourself.
One of the darkest days, I guess, actually, that we ever had in the business, where in one of our depots, we had a recycling machine that, think about it like a revolving lawnmower, that smashed up all the polystyrene. One of the young lads in there had he climbed on top of it somehow and gone past all the safety guards to kick it to free it and fallen into it. To cut a long story short, he died. As about as brutal and as horrible a death as you could have. And so I found out about this obviously pretty quickly after it had happened, and all the advice that came back was, you, as in me, can't do anything. You can't speak to anybody because of liabilities and because of this and because of that and so on and so on. And I said, well, hang on a minute, there's a family involved here. At the very least, we've got to reach out to them. And they said, no, you cannot do it, because what you potentially open the company up for might be catastrophic for the company. And I said, well, I think that's a risk worth taking. And so I got in the car and went to the house of his mum and dad and sat there. They were just really nice people. And they ended up suing the business because that's what they were advised to do, and it never became personal. The point was more, in the moment that matters, what's your moral guidance with it? Make decisions that would make your mum proud.
People tell you business isn't personal. John just kind of said it. They didn't take it personally. A family member had died in a horrific accident. That is pretty personal. So John knew in his gut it was important that he personally went and spoke to those people, even though his lawyers told him not to. He understood the difference between what was personally right for him to do and what was probably all business. The lawyers are all business. They don't necessarily get paid to be emotional. When did you know that your idea that you had that day, it was going to happen? Was there a moment?
That one wasn't until the App Store launched in 2008. So for eight years after starting the company.
So it took him 8 years to realize that his business was working. So many people want the first week or the second week, or they tell someone their idea and for someone to go, I love it, it's going to work. No one is going to love your idea except your mum. That's the truth. And 8 years from now, it will probably be really successful. Because the truth is, to be lucky in life, you need to be persistent.
I wanted to go to America. 1968. When did I get there? 1979.
11 years.
11 years to get there.
That's persistent sales. It doesn't happen overnight.
No, I think people call it resilience these days.
Yeah, resilience. At the end of the day, people need to know that time is required to make anything successful. Anyone that puts up on YouTube, you can be a millionaire by doing one thing today, is not telling you the truth. What would you do at 20? If you were 20 now, had no money, what would you do?
Well, I would do what we did when we were 20, which is just go into the space. I mean, remember back in the early days when we were young, right?
I remember.
And, we were still young at heart, I would say, right? But yes, we just looked at the internet and we said, wow, look at all that opportunity.
So what is he saying? I'll translate it for you. Today is the best time to start a business. There has never been a better time than right now to start a company. If you are young and you have no money, you are in the best position ever in history to start a business of your own. Because all you need to do is go onto your phone and understand consumers on the other end of that phone and sell them something. Build something of the future around community. You have a chance to disrupt the world and own it. Me and Yap 25 years ago were those people that you are now. We had no money, but we knew what the future could look like. If you want to learn from the ultimate billionaire, I've just done a video on the one and only Elon Musk. Check it out.